Yes.
Okay. So, much as Bob Uncle may not know each of you a little more personally, I do. So I know a lot of your talents. I know who's an artist, a dancer, a singer, you know, a poet. I have some poems from someone who doesn't know they were sent to me, but he knows. I also know kids who are very talented and they do a lot many more things than just read and go to school.
No, other.
So I'm aware of a lot of little other multifarious activities that you all do, and I'm very happy about that. I just want to start by telling all of you first that you all are blessed with having a lovely set of parents. Very intelligent, very beautiful, very knowledgeable, and very nice to have. Very few kids in the world have such lovely parents. And you also have lovely siblings, whether you like it or not, whether you agree or not. No. But all of you have lovely siblings. Sibling is having a sister or a brother. That's a sibling. So, and because you have lovely parents and lovely siblings, it's a nice thing to remember to communicate. I'm just taking off from the theme that Bob Uncle had you with communicate. So communication is very important. Not just important for communicating. Somebody wants to come in front.
Walk in the camera.
It's okay.
Pulki will take care of that. No. She likes to see Pulki in the camera.
So why is communication important? Because if you don't tell your parents how you're feeling, you will neither get any appreciation or empathy. And that's that. Parents need to know what you're feeling, because in times of need, they can help you. In times of your achievements, they are the only ones who feel really thrilled about it. There's nobody else outside the family who feels more thrilled than your parents. So it's nice to tell your parents more than most things. You can hide a few naughty things you've done in the day, like Gaurav would sleep in his Spanish class. And we came to know about it many years later. He never told us, but we wouldn't have got mad at him. Now, there are instances when parents can get very upset or, distressed about something you've done. But there's no harm in telling them, because they know you, you are their children, and they love you best. And you love them best. So it's nice to be able to have a happy conversation with your family and your parents. And it's important because you need to understand what they are thinking about you, what they are thinking about things in general, how you can teach them about what you are doing in your life, and what you can learn from them about how they live their lives, which was very different. But there's always things you can know and learn from your parents. Much as parents can teach you things, let me tell you how delighted I was to be a parent, because I have learned hundreds of things from my kids. We have not always been able to answer their questions because they can be very direct, kids I mean, and they can be very firm and very demanding. Let me give you an example. We used to have prayer meetings every Sunday, and we would go there. And the prayer meeting was sitting on the floor and singing some parts, which is like dedicational hymns, for about an hour. So you had to sit absolutely still. You tried not to sneeze or cough and think, but if you were in dire straits and you had to pee, it was hard to get out, because there was a big crowd and it was very embarrassing to come out. So Gaurav had two questions for us, Mom, why do we have to sit on the floor and sing in a language I don't understand? Now mind you, these are two very loaded questions. And for parents like us, who have raised with religion and rituals and things like every day there's a puja, every day there's a prayer, every day there's a katha. You know, it was normal and natural for us to attend all those things, but here it was difficult for the kids to sit for 1 hour and listen to something. So I said, look, the point is that in India, it's very hot and we don't need to sit on chairs all the time. Plus, it's a little country, not everyone has chairs, not every temple has chairs. And it's nice to sit on a lower level than your deity and your God because you feel the admiration and the reverence for that deity and the God when you sit on the floor. I don't think he was convinced, but that was my answer. Now, sometimes parents are very baffled. They don't know what to say. So, when they don't know an answer, they will tell you, beta, we don't know now, but we'll find out and let you know. And that's good enough. You can wait. The other question that he had was more difficult. Why am I singing in a language I don't understand? Even I didn't understand a lot of it because it was in a language which was so old and archaic that it's hard to determine some of the words. So I thought to myself and I said, okay Gaurav, you don't need to sit and pray with everyone else. You don't have to sing with them. All you need to do is communicate with God in the way you want. And to me, that's the simplest way of being religious, of praying, and feel that there's a power beyond everything else that can help and come to your rescue when you need it. Now, God will not always help you if your car is stuck on the road with a, flat tire. Then God's not going to come running around with a jack and pull it up and fix it. But you never know. Something might happen. You might call AAA or something. Something will hit your brain and say, God's telling me to call AAA. And here I am. And you call the AAA people. They come and fix your car. That's God. Anyway, so I told Gaurav, what you have to learn to do is to communicate directly with God. Don't have any gurus and priests and people and parents in between. You have an equation with God that you create personally, for yourself, by yourself, and in any language that you feel like. It can be Spanish or Chinese or Hindi or Tagalog, whatever. So he said, but why would God understand all those languages? So I said, well, I think he created those people who made those languages. So I think he knows what you're talking about. And that was the end of it. But my point was, communicate with parents, communicate with God, communicate with your friends, communicate, talk all the time. It doesn't mean you become the village idiot who's always yapping. But try to get your point across and get something in return that you will be happy to learn and understand. So this was actually just a preamble to what I was going to tell you, because I'm going to start by telling you something very simple and easy which you can incorporate in your lives and be very happy and very cheerful and free of worries, hopefully. So let me go into an area that I used to find the most difficult to understand when I was a child, and that was religion. Oh boy, here she goes now. That's what the bubble is on your head. It's very easy. Religion is a kind of a methodology that people created in very old times to be able to sit together in good company and pray together to a power we don't know, but we believe in, because that power helps us to overcome problems, worries, anxieties, stress, and give us a lot of things to learn and think about, and make us all very easy, loving, and affectionate people. But religion, to my mind, is a very long drawn thing. It's very complicated. It has too many things to understand. And for you kids, I don't even think it's worth thinking about religion, especially when you're going through school and college. So all you need to do is, when you have a puja at home, just sit there, listen to what's going on, get what you can, figure out what looks good to you, and chop, you're all done. You have the prasad and everything, and lunch, and make a merry day. But according to me, Religion's two aspects are worth considering. And you'll hear these words in your life all through. They'll appear in American magazines and in books and in all kinds of places. And the two words are karma and dharma. And tell me if you've heard of them. Right? So simple definitions of karma and dharma are: karma is actually your duty towards your family, your parents, your sisters and brothers, your teachers, and all those around you. What does that mean? Just be obedient, listen to your parents. What they are telling you is usually for the good of you. Usually they know better than you only because they're older. They've seen a better and bigger part of the world, and they have learned a lot more than you have. Eventually you may conquer everything and you may find out that you know a lot more than your daddy did at that time or your mother did at that time. But karma is just listening to those around you and doing what you're told. That's karma. Dharma is actually even easier to understand. And when you understand dharma, it will actually give you an insight into a lot of your life later and even now. So dharma is the essential characteristic of a human being. Actually, dharma is the essential characteristic of every element. So we have 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire, and I think the last one I'm not able to tell you in English, but I think it's vacuum or space. So, the essential dharma of every element is what defines it. The essential dharma of water is to wet, fire to burn, air to flow, and the earth to hold all the people and the world above it. So the essential dharma of a human being is to be loving, kind, and affectionate. If you remember that, if you remember dharma as it is defined in this simple, logical way, you will know how to be a good human being. You've also heard of big words, Hindus are like non-violent, we believe in ahimsa, we do this, No. What is ahimsa? Ahimsa is non-violence. What is violence? Somebody tell me what violence is. Just a simple, anything what you know by violence. So violence is... Who is? Ashna?
Yeah.
Tell me, come here.
Come here.
Yes. That's violence.
Say that loudly and tell everybody. Say it again loudly.
Yes. That's violence. Violence is not just killing animals or hacking a rooster before you eat it for dinner, or the turkeys and things. That's not all violence. That is violence. Yes. That is also violence. But violence is being nasty, rude, and bad to people around you. Think about it. That's a form of violence. It's very soft violence, but it's violence. So ahimsa actually means not to be naughty, bad, or aggressive to your friends, to people around you, to your family, to your brothers, to your sisters, to anyone and anything around you. So once you understand that dharma means the essence of a human being is to be loving and kind, then you'll understand what empathy means. What Bob Uncle just told you, empathy, that's part of a dharma of a human being. And once you know that part of being a human being, you'll automatically learn to be good. Now, dharma is a very large part of our spirituality. And spirituality is a big word for all of you children. But spirituality is higher and more elevated than religion. Religion is just a form of prayers to God and being connected to a higher soul or a higher being and hoping that some good will come out of it. But spirituality is what makes you the way you are. Spirituality is what your spirituality will define you for what you are. Are you a good person? Are you a giving person? Are you a loving person? Are you a good friend to have? Are you a nice person to hang out with? That's your spirituality and your dharma. So I think that's pretty easy to understand. And once you know your dharma, that will actually determine how you will have a certain attitude in life. So to my mind, an attitude is very important. And I have divided attitude into a few things. But part of your attitude is what you are, and how you are to other people. That's attitude. So there's two kinds of attitudes that I have actually categorized. A gratitude and a gratitude. Easy? A gratitude is, look at me. I can do anything that they can't. Or, guess what? I came first in my class. I got all grades with A's. And look at him. He's a jerk. He doesn't know anything. Or look at her. She didn't get my grades. That's a real gratitude. You're a real brat. If somebody is unable to get good marks like you, that doesn't mean he's a jerk or stupid or non-intelligent. That just means, okay, he did stuff well enough. There wasn't enough on his plate going on. You were better, you had time, you're better, you excel at something, so you're doing it much better than he can or she can. But don't get bratty about it. So don't get that gratitude, because once you have that, you start losing friends very quickly. Gratitude is to fraternize with your friends. Fraternize means make friends. So the friendlier attitude is gratitude. And that actually makes you a better person. When you're friendly, you're nice to people. See, when you have good dharma and a good consciousness of dharma, you will automatically be nice, because you will feel like being nice to people. When you have a good dharma essence, you know that you don't want to be nasty to people. You will not be nasty to people. You'll be nice to them. What Bob Apu was telling you, vocally express a compliment to someone. Boy, I didn't know you could read that book in such a short time. That was really amazing. How did you do it? When do you read? Well, when my mother doesn't want me to help in the kitchen, or when my dad doesn't want me to rake the lawn, or shovel the snow. That's when I read. But when you made someone else that happy, that person will automatically gear towards you and come to you, and you have magnetized that person to come to you because of your niceness. So a gratitude always helps. The one way to make quick friends is just to be nice. And it doesn't take a long time to be nice. Let me tell you, it takes longer to be nasty, aggressive, and, rude to people. Because they'll always remember that you were rude to them. And they will kind of get away from you, and they won't remember you for the nice things that you do, but because of one wrong, nasty thing you said to them. I'm not going to hang out with that girl. She told me I stink. I'm a jerk. Well, guess what? She's not my friend anymore. So, that way, when you grade your attitude in a certain manner, you will define yourself as a good person, and you will be fun to hang out with. A very strong kind of a feeling is usually, kids usually carry that because they have to have a good image when they're young. They want to dress well, they want to look nice, boys have to have their hair gel, girls have to have their hair nicely done, they all want to look nice, everyone wants to look pretty. It's nice to be pretty, but it's prettier to be nice.
Yeah.
So just remember that if you're nice, everything will fall in place. If you're nice to people, they like your hairstyle no matter what. They like your clothes no matter what. If you're nice, they will love you no matter what. Let me tell you, I know some very pretty friends, and I know some friends who are not pretty. Sometimes I can hang out with the not so pretty friends for a whole day, but the pretty ones get on my nerves. And I've always thought, I wonder why. Because They are just so absorbed with themselves. They're so worried about how they look or how they appear in public and how they're dressed that it gets boring. They're not being nice to me. They have no affection for me. They don't have anything nice to say to me. I can't deal with that. So I don't like to hang out with those people. I personally prefer people who are just very ordinary looking, but they're really nice to hang out with. So that's something you need to think about when you go home. What do I really want to be? Well dressed or just nice? And that kind of will define your whole attitude in the way you want to present yourself to people. What you are is very important when people see how you are to them. Everyone wants to feel important, and when you make them feel important, you become nice. It's very easy. Try it. Just try it without thinking. Some fine day you're walking to school and you tell one of your buddies, hey, that's a nice pair of whatever you're wearing, or a nice, what do you call those? Bags you carry to school? Backpack. That's a nice backpack you have. Even a simple thing like that, it'll make him or her your friend. So when you say nice things to people, it makes them feel nice. It makes you feel nice because you're not losing anything. And you become friends. So you can gather as many friends as you want in life by just being simply nice and carrying your dharma with you and carrying a nice attitude. And I have found some very, very ordinary people extremely wonderful to know because they are just nice people. They have good dharma and they have a nice attitude. So I will say for myself that I love a person with a nice attitude, and so will you. I don't know, maybe you have to, see, when I'm telling you things, you have to go home and think about them. You forget a lot of things that I've said. But when you go home, or when you're home, and when you think about it, maybe you think about it to yourself and say, that was a clever thing. Maybe I should think about that more and, have a nice attitude. So an attitude, gratitude and gratitude is what you have to compare and see what you want to be. Now, the last one is my personal favorite and my daughter's personal favorite, gratitude. So when you think to yourself, every other day, my mom really cooks nice food. When I come home and I eat that dal chawal or I eat that spaghetti or the mac and cheese she makes, it's really good and I really enjoy it. So gratitude means when you've enjoyed eating something that your mom has made specially for you, just go give her a big hug and say, Mom, that was a delicious meal. I really enjoyed it. If you can just do it once a week, let me tell you, you will be the adored child of your parents. And it's not like you're doing it just to say it, you really enjoyed it. So that's like a very happy attitude. It's part of your dharma. So nurture your dharma, feed your dharma, let it grow, let it become a nice radiation to the world around you. And if you have a happy gratitude, and filled with gratitude, you find yourself going very long in a very happy road. Now, one part of your attitude could be your habits and your disciplines. I don't mean habits like, you have to brush your teeth every morning and every night. That's a habit, yes, but that's not just a habit. That's like a routine you have to go through. A habit is being punctual. That's a good habit. A friend called you to study at home, let's do a project together. So can you come over at 4 o'clock just after school? Sure. And then when you come home, you're thinking, wait a minute, I have to go on Facebook and put this on there. And what did we do last night? Yeah, we went to that place and we hung out and we had that big fat party and this, we did that. So let's I have all those pictures, I have to download them. So I'll get them on Facebook before I go to his house. Soon you're working on your Facebook or something and something else comes up and you have another message and you're responding to that, and then you have another book you had left halfway and you read that and you forget you have to go to your friend's house at 4 o'clock. Oops, that's not very nice. Because he's waiting for you, she's waiting for you. And it's 4 o'clock, and it's 4:15, and it's 4:30, then your friend buzzes you on the phone and says, "What's up? What are you doing?" "Oh, wait a minute, why are you calling me now? I'm in the middle of Facebook." "No, you said you're going to be at my house at 4 o'clock, we have to study together." "Oh, okay, I'll be right over." You've actually lost 45 minutes of that time. And who knows, that kid may have had to go somewhere else. And now he's pushed for time. Now he can't do his homework, you haven't done yours, you haven't helped him, and bingo, the whole thing is lost. So, punctuality is something you need to respect. Part of your dharma, when you learn to have a good attitude, you will also learn to respect people. You will also learn to respect their time, their energies, and their efforts. And when you respect your friends and their time, they respect you and they like you even more. But punctuality, other than anything else, is a habit you form very early on in life, and it sees you through later. When you are not punctual as a child, you'll never be punctual as a grown-up. You'll find excuses. Yeah, we had to go. Okay, this is how grown-ups behave. We had to go to his house at 6 o'clock, but you know, they'd be serving snacks till 7:30. So even if we start now, we'll be there on time. By the time you get there, it's actually 7:45. They've stopped serving snacks. The snacks are all over. You're still hungry. You don't get anything to eat. You've ruined your evening. You've ruined their evening because they're waiting for you. They've wrapped up all the snacks. And guess what? Non-punctuality is just distressing and disgusting. So I would say build healthy habits. One of them is punctuality. To my mind, a habit is also like simple things like when you go home from school, you're very tired, but you just place your backpack somewhere where it should be. Come inside the room, don't fling your shoes and socks all over the house. Socks have a tendency to roll under the sofas or under the beds. They're never found. Mother will never find a pair that's probably laundered. Make life easier. Just have a spot for tossing things when you come down. You can put them away later. Tidy up at the end of the day. If you take 10 minutes to tidy up your room at the end of the day, let me tell you, the morning becomes much easier. You'll find things in the right spot. And those are two healthy habits that I can help you to remember and have for yourself. If you have those good habits, you'll have a good attitude. They all work together. Everything kind of slots in together. So I don't know how much of this you'll agree with. I'm not asking you to agree with it. I'm just giving you my ideas from my own experience when we were growing up. Let me tell you, we had very tough childhoods. We didn't have the freedom you have in America. The parents were raising you here. We had a very hard discipline to live with. Our parents were very strict. You had to eat what was given to you or just go to bed hungry. You had to wear what you were given or just not go to the party at all. So you have a very happy, very free life. Enjoy. Enjoy because that's the best way you can live it. Be happy, be grateful. Be grateful to your parents for what they're doing for you. Be grateful to the teachers for what they are teaching you. And be generally grateful to friends who help you. Be nice to them. That's gratitude. So the three attitudes, gratitude, gratitude, and gratitude. Chuck the gratitude away. That doesn't work. It doesn't help. Stick with gratitude and gratitude. Two more things. Go. If you have to take a break, you can run. If you have to get up, you can go. But I'll talk to the kids who are interested. I don't mind. I have a question for all of you. How do you learn? When you learn anything, what are the ways you use to learn from? Everyone knows where you're learning from. You go on the internet, you go on Google, you learn in school, you learn from books. So tell me where you learn from. Learn anything from.
People who have more knowledge than me.
Yeah, that's one. Teachers, one.
Google Classroom.
Google, okay.
Quizlet. I was going to say that.
Okay, there's lots of ways of learning. Learning is actually a very clever way of becoming more intelligent than what you are. Sometimes more intelligent than your parents, believe it or not. I have learned so much from my kids, I can't even tell you, because they ask questions which will put you on a spot. Anyway, learning comes from many, many, many areas and many sources. And I have learned from fools, from intelligence, from geniuses, from people who are in rags, from people who are in riches. But learning is constant, constant, constant. Till today I'm still learning. So today I'm learning Mandarin Chinese on one side and Spanish on another, both from YouTube. It's very difficult, let me tell you. But it's a lot of fun to learn. I also wanted to emphasize one more thing. When you are given a job to do, it's very boring. Aniha, can you help me do this? Like, can you lift this thing and bring it to the kitchen and peel potatoes for me because I'm going to make a curry? It's very boring. But if you set your mind to it, and if you have a happy attitude and you say, oh, peeling a few potatoes, it's nothing. I can do it in a jiffy. So you go to the kitchen, you pick up the potatoes, wash them, scrub them, and you peel them. How long did it take you? 10 minutes. But the thinking about how boring it's going to be will take you more than 25 minutes. Oh God, now she wants me to peel potatoes. What the hell is all this curry about? Why are these people coming to our house? Why do I have to help my mother peel the potatoes? This is stupid. I have to read this book. I have to do this. I have to... No. Stop with all that. If you have a good, happy attitude, just tell yourself, okay, it will take 10 minutes to peel the potatoes. I'll be done. Then I can watch my movie. See how easy that is? And it goes for anything. Somebody will ask, your parents will ask you, okay, today, jobs are not gender orientated. It's not like you only ask the sons to go and mow the lawn and, rake the leaves or shovel the snow. The girls do it too. So, the way to think about a job, not to make it boring, is to tell yourself, wait a minute, Cinderella used to do all that when she was a little girl, and she was made to do it. Why can't you do it? Why can't I do it and just do it happily? Let me tell you, when you take up a job and do it happily, it turns into a joyful thing. You won't think about how boring it is because you're enjoying doing it. Anything that you enjoy doing, you will like doing. So think about it as not a chore, as not a demand from your parents, as not something you're required to do, but something that you are happy to do. And when you set about to think like that, it'll become easy. Also, it'll teach you a few things on the way. When you see someone, when we were living in England, I was very young, I had just moved from India. And we used to wash our own clothes and dry them out, but because it was so sunny and so hot in the day, we just hung the clothes out to dry, and they would dry in 2 hours. When we came to England, it was always raining. So you had an hour slot or a 2-hour slot in the day to dry all your clothes. We didn't have a dryer in the house. And it was cold. So when you hang clothes on the line in England, you have to learn to hang them in a certain way. I didn't know. My clothes would never dry. And here I was doing my work. I was drying my clothes, and my neighbor was watching me. She was an elderly English lady. And she said, listen dear, your shirts will never dry out like that if you leave them on the line, all lumped up. Take the end of the shirt, hang it up on the line, peg it. When it blows in the breeze, it'll dry faster. So when you're out doing a job, there's somebody else who can teach you those things better than you know yourself. You never know what you can learn, when you can learn. So learning is a constant thing, and you're doing it all the time. And you're doing it sometimes unconsciously. You may be watching someone cooking, like when you go to restaurants these days, have you seen how they flip pizzas? Okay, when you go to an Indian restaurant, sometimes you're allowed to go near the kitchen and you'll see how they grill the chicken, on the steak, on the skewers. So when you go to a restaurant, it's not just for eating. You might be picking up some good tips. You might go near the kitchen and see this guy, flipping the pizza on his arm, on his hand, and you might try it when you come home. Wait a minute, I'm going to take a ball of dough and see if I can do it. And you never know, you might learn to make a pizza. So this guy will dance when he's doing it. So learning is not a job. It's not a condition that you have to do. Learning comes sometimes unconsciously. You're learning things without looking for learning. So let learning be part of your discipline, an everyday discipline, just learning. You're listening to some adults talking and they're saying, I read this great book of quotations, or somebody says something about a book about anecdotes or something, and you're just passing by them. You're passing by two adults and they're talking about some books they read. So you make a note in your mind and you go home and Google the book and you find out, wow, this seems like an interesting book. Then we go home and read it and you get it from the library. You never know how much else you can learn. So learning can come from various sources, from good and bad and ugly, from everywhere, from anywhere. So don't stop learning. As Bob Uncle just told you, learning is forever and ever, till you grow old and you're whatever. So that's another learning thing. You can learn from anywhere. And the one point that I wanted to make in an attitude thing was, sometimes you will find that some of your friends have bigger things or better things or bigger homes or nicer things, nicer clothes, nicer wristwatches or jackets or things, There's always someone who has something better than you. Instead of spending time thinking about, oh boy, I don't have that kind of thing, and getting envious of that, spend that time thinking to yourself, maybe I should excel in something and I'll stop worrying about stupid things like that. Because in the long run of life, those things are unimportant. Today, you will be going into, you'll be going to proms and all these fancy parties and everything. And you will want the best dress that you can ever have. And you want to beat all the other girls who are wearing that lovely dress. Or you want to be the best dressed guy in school. No. It's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. So when you grow older, all those things in school will become very small and unincidental, and you'll leave them behind. And you'll grow into mature individuals who have bigger and better things to know and better things to work with than just having good clothes and a good image. An image is nice, it's important, it's nice to look nice. But it's nicer to be a nice person and to be remembered as someone that when I go to a party and when I come home, I always talk about someone not well dressed, not looking nice, but someone who taught me something, or someone who was very nice to me. Why? They had something nice to tell me, something interesting to tell me, something that I'll always remember. So that is what is the most important thing. How to be nice, how to be the way you are to people is what makes you the best person to know. And I think for me, the most important thing is to be a nice person to know and to be remembered. I don't know if I'm one of them. I hope one day I will be. But today I tried very hard to have a nice attitude, be a happy person, and be liked, and just, enjoy my life the way it should be. So my dharma is to have a nice gratitude attitude, and to have just a very easy, simple way of life. And not worry so much about my clothes or how I look, but meet some nice people from whom I can learn. Meet nice people who can teach me a lot of things in life and how to make my life better. By the way, there's a lovely saying in Christianity that I really like. It says, if you want a better world, just improve yourself. Let me explain what that means. If you improve yourself, you will set a better example for your brother or your sister. They will always remember that you have made attempts to do this. And you'll feel good about yourself. So if you want a better world, just improve yourself. Anything that I've talked about, I would love to have you disagree and come and tell me why did you say that? Because that's the essential thing that will teach you how to be and become more intelligent. When your parents tell you something, ask them, Dad, why are you saying that? I don't understand. You have to explain that. Let them explain to you. That's what will teach you to be better and smarter. So thank you for listening to only.
Okay, everybody, Neha will say something for me.
Thank you.
Rahul.
No, I want to thank the children.
Rahul.
You're so patient.
So thank you very much, Mom, and the auntie for taking the time out. I'm sure the kids learned a lot, right? So let's give a big hand to
Thank God, Preeti. And thank God, the kids.
Yes, the kids were awesome. The kids were awesome.
If you ask any of these parents, none of their kids were listening to them that long singing one thing. Good job, guys. Awesome. Thank you.